Hi, my name's Al and I'm going to show you a few tips on how to prevent cable rub on your bike and also how to minimise noise. So we've got some alcohol to clean the grease and dirt off your bike before you stick things to it, a rag also for cleaning, some scissors for cutting things to size to fit onto your bike, chain tool for shortening the chain if need be to help prevent chain slap, a tape measure for measuring the products that we're going to fit to the bike, and a hairdryer which helps them to adhere to the frame as well. First of all, to help prevent the cables from rubbing, you can see here where this cable's been touching the frame, it's left a bit of a mark. It's not too bad though. We can help prevent it from getting any worse by putting some kind of patch in the way. First of all, we need to clean it. Got some IPA here, isopropyl alcohol. Bit of that on a rag, help remove any grease and grime so that the patch can stick in place. This is copter tape which we got from Just Riding Along. Comes in a long reel, long strip. You just basically cut it to size in order to fit whichever part of the bike you want to protect. Here we've got some bike shield, similar kind of stuff really. This comes with long strips and also smaller patches which are already cut to size to prevent damage in areas such as this. Now we need to either select a suitably sized patch or cut a strip or a square to size in order to stick on the frame. Here with this bike shield we've got a suitable patch here. It helps if you've got clean hands, you're less likely to get fingerprints on the patch itself, and it also helps if you're in a warm room because that helps it to stick to the frame. So we just need to lift the cable out of the way. We can see where the rub was and smooth it over the area. Like so. If we apply some heat to the patch, it'll help it to adhere to the frame. You can use a heat gun on a very low setting, or you can use a hairdryer. Smooth out any bubbles that might be there. And that should stay in place on the bike for a pretty considerable time. In addition to the patches which help protect your paintwork from cable rub, we can use these sheaths which help to protect the paintwork further or on their own. These ones are tubular and have to be threaded onto the outer cable, so for that it's only really any good if you're massively anal or you're fitting a new cable set. This type is split and it simply slips over the cable like so. Just something that's a little bit softer against your frame. They can fall off though, so if you like you can cut yourself a small bit of tape which will prevent it from coming off. If you're really skint and you can't stretch to some protective tape for your bike but you still want to stop scratches, you can get away with just using some glueless patches. Clear ones are available, but for this we've got some nice red ones. It's just the same as sticking on the tape. Just make sure you get it in the right area. Again, you can use a hairdryer afterwards if you want. Remember that when you're steering, the cables are going to move, so you need to account for that. That's the way you position it as well. Cables often rub on the crown of your fork. In some cases it will get quite severe with all the steering causes it to rub away, goes through the paint, eventually goes through to the alloy of the crown itself. If you want to do it properly, you can cut yourself a bit of tape, a bit of copter tape, or some bike shield, something like that. Again, this should all be clean with alcohol to help it to stick. Get it right in as close as you can. As we did before, you can apply some heat to that to make it really stay in place. If you haven't got any proper protective tape and you don't really care how your bike looks as far as tape being stuck on it, but you still want to prevent the scratches, a bit of electrical tape will do a fine job. You might need to replace it quite often, but it costs next to nothing. Also, you can get it in lots of colours as well, so you can match it or contrast it to your paint job. There you are. Another solution to preventing cable rub on your crown is to fit a neo guard. Simply straps in place, and not only does it stop all that crap flying off your front wheel into your face, it will prevent the cable from rubbing on the crown. It's a nice added touch. Here's another great tip for preventing cable rub around the head tube and on the fork crown if you've got down tube routed cables, such as on this bike. What you need to do is fit a big zip tie around the head tube, fairly loosely. And secure each cable on either side. With smaller zip ties. They don't have to be blue, by the way. Then finally tighten the large zip tie around the head tube. It's all in place. Just trim the ends. And that'll keep your cables clear from rubbing on the head tube. There you go, for next to nothing. No more cable rub at the front of your bike. One area of the bike that's open to an awful lot of damage is the chainstay. So we're going to apply a bit of protection to that. Same as before. Clean it off with a bit of alcohol. Just to make sure our protection sticks. Here we've got a simple stick-on chainstay protector. This was supplied with the bike shield pack that we were using earlier. You could cut some copter tape to size, or again the bike shield comes with a large sheet that you can put all the way over the chainstay to offer more protection. The hairdryer again could be used in order to make it stick even better and last for longer. If you want something a bit more heavy duty on your chainstay, then we found this stuff on the 3M website. It's by Scotch 2228 it is. It's rubber mastic tape. It's quite thick, offers good noise reduction, and it moulds well around different surfaces. So that's a great chainstay protector. Again, there is another option for you. Here we've got just a bit of inner tube, and we're going to wrap it around the chainstay. It's actually quite a good option, because not only is it free, it offers a lot of protection to the chainstay. And it will really cut down on the noise as well. When we're at the end, snip off the excess. Secure with a zip tie. There you go. In order to help eliminate chain slap, we need to get the chain as short as possible. If you shift into the largest chain ring and the largest sprocket, this will put the mech at its most stretched out position. You can see this bike is set up with the correct length chain. If the mech isn't stretched out this much, then you may well be able to get away with removing some links. It's important on a full suspension bike that you don't remove too many, so as when the suspension compresses, it rips the rear mech from its mech hanger. One major cause of noise, especially over rough ground, is the sound of the mech contacting the chainstay, like so. Shimano used to fit a little rubber cover to some of their mechs, but they don't now. But we can improvise. First of all, clean off the area with a rag and some alcohol. Take some of the rubber mastic tape, showed you earlier, and we'll cut a piece to size. Just doing a rough job here. There we go, and that should help to deaden down the noise. Chains and chain devices can be pretty noisy parts on the bike. This one could perhaps benefit from a bit of noise insulation. Here we're going to use the rubber mastic from 3M, which showed you earlier. It can be applied on the underside of the guide here to help quieten down the chain as it rattles past it. This tape happens to be the right length, which is nice. And that will go a long way to quietening down the chain. You have to experiment though, depends on your bike, depends on the chain device, in order to work out where you might need to put the tape. As well, with chain devices you need to take into consideration the suspension compressing, because that will make the chain move up or down on the bike, which could mean that it contacts different areas. So if you've got an air shock, then you can let all the air out and check where the chain's going to lie under full compression. If you've got a coil shock, just back off the preload, get a friend to help compress the back of the bike whilst you have a check where everything's going to line up. If you use a krug catcher style of mudguard on your bike, then you'll probably notice that they can scratch the paint on the underside of your down tube. So what we've done here, Blue Peter style, is we've already made this bit of rubber. Well, we've cut it to shape. It's the rubber mastic tape that we showed you earlier, and this will fit in the channel on the crud catcher, and that will help to prevent any scratches on the frame. The newer versions already have a bit of rubber there, but it's especially effective on the older versions. There you go. So that's it. Hopefully there'll be one or two simple, cheap, quick tips that you can do to keep your bike nice and shiny and quiet. Cheers.